1, 2, 1, 2. Here we go. It's my time to rise. It's my time to shine. It's my time to live. It's my time to fly. It's my time. It's my time. I can see it. I can feel it. Time has come now to reveal it. I've been waiting for a long time. Gotta do it. And won't let nothing hold me down. Gotta do it. Because I may not get another chance. I believe it. If I want it, I can have it. I believe it. Done with falling, done with losing. I can do it. I think I'll tell myself again. I can do it. Yeah.
Nyumba Upendo, Milwaukee. Welcome to the Nyumba Upendo show on WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. I am one of your hosts, Kweku Dr.Alisia, joined by
Dr.Alisia Moutry, and so happy to be here, Milwaukee. And you know what? We want to give a shout out. You know, we couldn't do the show without Debo. We couldn't do the show without Jermaine, Rideout.
Hey.
We just appreciate you. We're going to take this moment right now to say we couldn't do it without you. We appreciate it. We love you.
Well, I appreciate it. Next time you come, bring me a donut or something.
I'll bring you something healthy. I'll bring you some broccoli.
Bring me a sandwich or something.
Some broccoli, some cauliflower.
We can't start the show without our P and P's. And so what we do is in the tradition of our ancestors, we must have permission from an elder to speak. We have gotten that permission. And our second P is a prayer. We've gotten a prayer. Oh, it was a mighty awesome prayer from my mother. That's the inside joke. Oh, my mother gave us a prayer today. And with that being said, though, honestly, it's always that we put our intention, our heart, and our soul inside of the show to give the people exactly what they need. When we start talking about the spirit of the show, we try to find an ancestor, an elder to dedicate the show to. And I wanted to dedicate it with it being Father's, Men's Health Month. But we think about Father's Day coming up. James Carkerham. And why I say that name is Jermaine is because that's my great grandfather. I never met him, but it was like I didn't know his name for years. And so many times, like in Black families, like you can only go back so far and you got to like pull people to say who these names were. But my auntie found some pictures of her grandfather and wanted to make sure that all of the grandchildren got a chance to meet him. He was born in 1884. And it was just like, even though I never got a chance to meet him, the foundation that he set for my granddaddy that set the tone for our family. It's like, it's about finding our ancestors. So I say that to the people to go out. Hey, while you got your grandmother here, while you got your mother, find out those names that you don't know that might not seem like a lot, but once you start to put name and face to a picture, it does a lot with just building up the love, the strength, and as far as the identity from where you came from. So I just want to make that time to put that out there.
No, I love that. I love. Thank you for sharing that. You know, as you were doing, I'm just like visualizing that picture. I'm also visualizing our grandfather, Elsie Cockerham. So I'm going to just go ahead and give that name, Elsie Cockerham Sr. You got it. And sometimes looking and understanding who you are, it's amazing. And so we got one picture of Granddad when he was in his service picture. And I got a chance to look at it and I never realized it until as of recent. Even when he was alive, I didn't realize it.
That he looked like MLK.
No, well, no. People always say he did look like Martin Luther King. But there's a picture that I actually saw myself. I saw the shape of my nose. I saw my eyes. I don't like take that for granted. It's a privilege that I was actually got an opportunity to not only meet him, love him, and been molded by him, but then I got a chance later just to look deep in and say, like, I am him.
Yeah. And you know what? It's so, touching that you talk about that because it's like, we lost our father pretty early.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to say early because we weren't children, but it was still early in life. It's been over 20 years now.
Yeah.
So you think about that and you be like, you feel like you were robbed. So I remember like with Father's Day, I never even thought about it as like a holiday anymore. You know, you just kind of like blocked it out. Then when I had children, it was about just me being a father, not being able to celebrate anything. And it's weird how you can compartmentalize these things. And as we talk about mental health, we talk about like, how do we really do these holidays justice? Because sometimes when a beautiful day comes, but it brings sorrows, we run from it, or we run to something else to be able to hide our pain and sorrows, those things that we can't articulate. So I don't know if we could have any better people up in the show. You know, when I look at Teron, like this is a brother, like, you know, like some people you walk around and then you meet and then you become like friends, but you become friends like on a different level because it's not about any organization or club or any work you just done, but you just have a synergy. You know, when you meet, you see a person who's doing similar things and whatnot like that, how you can complement, but then you get to learn about their backstory a little bit more. So like when I look at Teron, I think what I love most about you is you represent FMP, Fathers Making Progress. But when I hear about how that whole thing started, I was like, oh, wow, we're going to get into that a little later. But first, we just want to let the people know, because most of Milwaukee know who you is, but for the people who don't know, tell them just a little bit about you, T.
Oh, hey, good morning, Milwaukee. Good morning out there. Nyumba Upendo.
Yes, sir. He one of the brave ones to say the name.
Nobody ever.
That's the house of love.
House of love, baby. Yes, Swahili. Yeah,
Come
Swahili.
on,
Yeah,
get it out your tongue.
Yeah, I'm Teron Edwards, Kwojo Teron Edwards. I am the founder and executive president of Fathers Making Progress. You know, I am so blessed to, you know, be in a role where every day my job is to work towards a movement that is unapologetically about the men and dads in our community moving into positions of not just moving out of positions of survival, but moving into positions of thriving and leadership in our community.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, because every time I see him on Facebook, the only one angst I have for him is like during football season. he wear this hat with a lion on it. With pride. Tell us a little bit about your growing up, your background.
High school too.
Why you have to break that?
I'm just saying. I just want to know.
All right. Well, yeah. I've my fatherhood journey, and it's so funny, you know, just how you started the show, Kweku, you know, with Father's Day not being a holiday and just being associated with pain and trauma.
Yeah.
I've also had to walk that walk. I was born in, you brought up the lines. Yeah, I was born in Flint, Michigan. You know, yeah, most definitely Flintstone, baby, to the bone. I was born actually in a family. My mom and dad were married. It was a happy home. I actually came later. Michigan in the 80s, you all know it was one of those things. If you know anything about Flint, Michigan, watch the city die, man.
Yeah.
Auto industry.
That's how Milwaukee was.
Yeah.
It's a parallel.
Yeah. Auto industry. I'm getting to that. It's crazy. Yeah. Auto industry went down. I literally watched school teachers become, crack fiends.
Yeah.
Watched like community centers turn to crack houses, and it was just wow. So anyway, my dad, was a good dad, but he wasn't best husband. I just say it that way. Hey, he provided, means and always justify ends.
Yeah.
And he was involved in some things where he ended up being murdered. He was murdered. He was murdered when I was 9 years old. My mom's background and roots were here in Milwaukee, so ended up coming here. And to your point, what you just said is so funny. It was almost like going out the fryer into something else. It's like, you come out of that and then you come to another city that's kind of starting to face some similar, like you said, some similar issues, the gangs and the drugs and everything that moved into our neighborhoods. I got in a lot of trouble. I just say it that way. I got in a lot of trouble as a young man. Anyway, long story short, at 16, I became a dad myself. I was a teenage father, and I just figured, hey, I want to do something else.
Yeah.
I don't want to go out like that went out. I got to be here for him.
So just talk on that for a minute, because there's some people who listen, they were like, man, my 16-year-old wild, are we doing this? Or some ones that's out there maybe having, sexual wild behaviors and whatnot, not thinking about some of the possible consequences. What was the thing though? You said, with my dad and me having a son, but what was the thing that really set you down and said, okay, I got to do something, but not only like clicked it in your mind to do it, but actually you executed on that decision?
Well, and I talk about this a lot with rites of passage. Just like it's your relationship and connection to purpose.
Yeah.
Relationship and connection to purpose is everything. Like,
come on.
You talk about like, these young folks, and it's like, like we get a lot of young folks get a lot of heat, and I get it, like a lot of everybody ain't doing what they need to be doing, and it looks wild and it looks crazy. But it's just like sometimes we can ask ourselves, like, how can I? They say, how can I? How can he jump in a stolen car? How can he do out here? How can he be? But I think the right question is, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what else is there for him? What was he gonna do besides that? It's just like, just like I said, it's tethers, connections to purpose. I mean, I didn't see it that way at the time, but it's just like, being somebody for somebody else was a tether. It's just like, it's like, it gives me a reason, and to steep in, like, man, I got to figure something out.
So
I got to
this
do
is
something
a purpose.
different.
If we're gonna complain about it, let's have a solution.
Yeah.
No, I
But
love
that line, being somebody for somebody, that was key to me right there. So I look at that and I say, you had a moment that made you shift, to make you stop to think, like, what I'm doing, this is not where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
And sometimes you talk about getting in trouble. Sometimes people need that kind of thing, unfortunately, to make you really shift, to begin to think about, what is it? Am I really supposed to be doing that, or am I supposed to be doing something else? But then having this somebody else that you had to do better for.
When you said that, all I kept thinking was like, because this is the cry, we'd be like, be to somebody what you needed that wasn't there. So was there somebody for you, or did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I had uncles, man.
I could just see your eyes going to different people. I see you looking
Shout
at
out, give them some names.
I see you looking at
love,
them.
boy.
Looking at all of them.
Hey, yeah. I had my mom's family, really stood in the gap. My dad's family really stood in the gap. It's so funny. I was just in Michigan at the Michigan Fatherhood Conference, and I got a chance to spend some time with some family. And I was talking to my dad's little brother. Like, we sat up. That's my guy, man. We sat up all night just talking, because I mean, it's just like it's just one of those things. We just comparing notes. And one of the things, and it's funny to answer a question you just asked earlier, like, but because that don't work for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, having a kid, and just but one of the elements in that I guess kind of scenario was, one of the things that I noticed, that it's funny that my uncle actually affirmed, because he would talk about how much wisdom my father, who died as a young man, would impart on him. He told me about the speech he gave him before he got married. And, he's now with his wife. They're about to, celebrate like 35 years or something like that. And he told me about, like, he was just telling me about all these. I'm just like, and I'm just remembering, like, man, just the wisdom that he would impart on me as a young man.
His legacy is living through you. So I can see, I can see how strong a man he was.
He would give it to me real harsh. But this is something that we both agreed on.
Yeah.
If only he would have lived by that.
Yeah.
If only he would have lived by some of the things he was saying or would have said. It's just like, it's one thing, like, do as I say.
No, but you know what I mean? It's like what you say too with the young people. Sometimes it's complications.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'm a big fan of Godfather in Harlem, when I watch Bumpy Johnson and all that.
Yeah.
And what they always talk about is, hey, you know what? This is a person who's got like some inconsistencies, but sometimes it's circumstances. They was like, he wanted to be a lawyer, but he wasn't allowed in the law school. But you saw his brilliance take place in a negative manner.
Yeah.
But he was still able to parlay that into scholarships for other people doing good, because he wanted to do it, protecting Malcolm X, protecting Adam Clayton Powell and different other areas. And so you say, even with those kind of seemingly contradictions, you say it's a society that comes. That gives us into the segue to my man. Okay,
I just gotta say one thing. So I'm sitting here as a parent thinking, we're not perfect as parents, right? But what I know is that we always want our kids to do better than us.
Yeah.
So while maybe your father wasn't living the way you thought he should live, he knew that he wanted better for you.
Yeah.
And so that, I think that's key right there. Like I've had somebody say, don't smoke, but you sit there puffing in my face.
Yeah. Right? And
she ain't talking about you, mama.
We have
I didn't say that, mama. That was Alicia.
We have to model. We have to model. Because one of the reasons that made me do something different is, I'm gonna tell you, I had a lot of anger, obviously.
Yeah.
I had a lot of, but one of the things that really grinded my gears was the hypocrisy of a lot of adults at the time. It's like, dog, you know, because even then it's like I remember, you know, I had a member of my family went to jail. It was people saying it probably should have been me, and it's so funny. Some of them people were saying, like, I was seeing how they was living, and you know, it's just like I'm just like, you know, I just always had this kind of. And it probably, and I know now, you know, just through therapy, some other things that it sent back to my father and that original hypocrisy. Like I remember the dope boys and the pimps and everybody. I was one of those guys that they'd be like, "Oh man, you're doing great in school. Here's $20. Here's $30." I'm just like, dude, like, you know, I saw that roll that he pulled 30 bucks out of. $30 is cool, but how I get that roll?
Yeah. And I can get it quicker this way than the way y'all telling me to go.
Roll? Like, you know, because. Yeah, I mean, for real, I mean, y'all the ones who show me love. You know, like, no, why not?
No, I think that's one of the real things we had to talk about. But it's like that whole CEO mentality. And so when I look inside of Milwaukee, I look at both of you all as far as running organizations. Ken, the things you're doing over at Serenity Inns, I just think it's absolutely groundbreaking. And I want to give you your flowers, you know, to all of Milwaukee about what you're doing. I think it's a vanguard for other people across. And I've gotten a chance to see you in action, so I know your heart, how you connected into the spot. I know we're coming up on a break real soon, but I want you to just be able to give like a kind of introduction. You've already introduced and told your story, but I want you to tell me why Serenity Inns was so important for you, because you left a good job with the county to go over to Serenity Inns and say, "Hey, I'm going to put this in." Why was it so big for you to say, "Hey, I want something I could really be put the lead on, put my fingerprint on, because I know I can give something that's not being given"?
Oh, absolutely. And it goes with the theme today. It was, you know, as far as being a father. And when I was considering taking a position at Serenity Inns, you know, it was a lot of prayer and meditation and, you know, leaving a huge organization or entity to go to a small nonprofit.
Safe.
I was safe.
You got the insurance, got benefits.
But the main thing was me with the prayer and meditation, and then my wife saying, you know, when you start to talk about Serenity Inns, your eyes light up, and
that's that purpose that
really absolutely. And so I thought about when I was in treatment myself, and it was a place that mirrored Serenity Inns. It was 12 guys in a house in a residential treatment, and so that what actually allowed me to be a better father when I came home, right? And so it resonated in my spirit and in my heart to be like, this is where you're supposed to be. And so even when I was in treatment, I prayed for my purpose and prayed for my purpose. And so it was revealed to me that this is your purpose. Can't walk into your purpose. Don't worry about if you're going to be okay, or, you know, don't worry about the security, because I got you. Right. And so
stepping out on faith and look. And I look at what you've done. We've had Brother Darian Luckett on the show before, and I know you two worked together to build some specifically even better than what you had. So I always think a mark of a good leader is not like what you do with it, but like what's the legacy that you leave behind. Talk a little bit about that legacy that you're still building, but that's, you know, in just the concrete form, literally right now.
Absolutely. And it never dawned on me. Right. And I had other brothers that I know and people that I look up to. They say, "Ken, you leaving a legacy, man. You leave." And it didn't really sink in, right? The ribbon cutting ceremony, I got very emotional. And I became emotional because I seen my wife walk in, I seen my sons walk in, and my daughter and my nieces. And I'm like, man,
and let me pause you, because what they see them is with Chevy and with David Crowley and with Marcus Johnson, with Van Baker. It's like, my dad is Simone, he's great Simone the city. Like this is who you are and whatnot. So walk in there.
And so, you know, I was like, man, this is something that's gonna be here and continue to help men, you know, long after I'm gone. Right. And I think about the other treatment facilities and how this can be a state-of-the-art facility for the men right here in the community. And so it was real important to keep it right there on 28th and Brown, right? Because people say, why you do it here? Well, the reality is when they complete treatment, they got gonna have an opportunity to move to the suburbs. They're gonna be right here in this neighborhood. So we need to work with those challenges right now. When you walk outside and somebody pull up on you, we need to sharpen those skills and those coping skills right now, right today. Let's address it.
And see, this is why I think it's so important, because when I worked with the DOC, we would release men. They would go into halfway houses after being in this confined place. And the halfway houses was in the areas where the people knew they was coming on that Tuesday, and they'd be able to hit their hand because they knew they'd be coming right back. And it was just like you said, I'm giving you a chance to test yourself in real time to be able to deal with some of those vices. That's going to be a win for you. So it's a part of the natural therapy and what you do. Absolutely. Oh man, that's the time for this first segment. But we coming back. We're gonna answer questions because we're gonna talk about not only fathers making progress, but the ball that the fatherhood celebration that they got coming up. So hey, keep listening to Nyumba Upendo on WNOV 860 AM 106.5 FM. We love you, Milwaukee.
It's my time to fly. It's my time.
I want to give you your flowers across the air, because all of us, as we were young growing up, see you as a coach, seeing you as a husband, seeing you as a figure in the community. You were one of those role models that you could have even if you didn't know, just by seeing what you did by example. You look at Al Holmes, he's a physically impressive man, but you know what he can do as far as physicality with his martial arts, but then also with his brains, what he can do, but more important, with his heart and his compassion and everything like that. And so I just want to give you your flowers there, but I want you to talk about, why was it so important for you to kind of help out our city, where you saw we were struggling with brothers in need with getting a driver's license, brothers with child support issues, brothers needing clothes, things of that nature. You were one of the beginning foundations of all of this.
Well, all of that began with me trying to protect my own children. I was working in Milwaukee, but I was living in Chicago, and I was driving back and forth every day because the jobs that I was looking for here I couldn't get. So I had a job in Chicago, then I flip-flopped and I started working. Anyway, that's how it started, the first 3 years. And the other part of that was I had to get my kids in a safe community. And I'm a city person. I'm originally from Detroit, and part of my growing up was in Flint because of the gangs. See, back in the day, there was a gang called the Shakers.
All right.
The Shakers was the largest street gang in the United States. And unfortunately, I happen to be one of the leaders.
You see them leadership skills all the way from the beginning.
From the dirt. That's how you use them, right?
I was bigger than most, and I was strong, and I was a football player and what have you. And no, y'all don't remember Night Train Lane.
No, I remember
Night
Train Lane.
Night Train was one of my mentors.
Oh, wow.
And so I didn't know. And that's how I got away from the gangs and things, was hanging out with him and getting into football. I wanted to be a professional football player, but music got me to the point where I sang, I played trombone.
I didn't know that.
Got into bands and they wouldn't let us play in Detroit.
Like, what?
So we crossed the river. We went into Canada. And they didn't ask us how old we were. If we were big enough, look like adults.
They didn't care about your color.
As long as you could play and sing, we were good to go. So a lot of the times when Motown first started, a lot of those people hired us to go and they cut records in Canada.
Oh, okay.
Before Motown started doing whatever. But see, it's just a matter of, I got to a point where I was an outstanding football player in high school, and all of the white guys got scholarships. I had good grades, couldn't get a scholarship. So all of my family were military people. My mother, my grandfather, my sister, 3 uncles. So I joined the military figuring that way I could go to college and still do whatever and come back and then play football. And I know you remember Rocky Blyer. I got wounded in Vietnam. I lost my right hand. Came back and I tried out for 2 teams and got cut, last cut, because of my age. I was too old, they said. But Blyer came back from Vietnam and Pittsburgh picked him up. And he had been wounded also.
Yeah, the Rocky Blyer story, that was real big.
But anyway, that's how it goes. The color of the skin. But either way, I got out of Detroit to and started a family and moved to Texas, moved to Kansas, moved to California. And I had to get back to this part of the country because this is my home. But I was more about where can I go where my kids would be safe and I can get them a good education. And because my grandfather couldn't read and write, but he always told me, boy, whatever you do, in order to be successful in this country, you got to be 3 times better than a white man at everything.
Now, when you was here, like in the 70s, that was kind of like the heyday for the Milwaukee and kind of the Midwest.
There was jobs and there wasn't enough people. I remember I brought my brother-in-laws up here from Wichita, Kansas, and we were standing on the corner of 27th and Hopkins. and the human resources director at L. Smith was standing on the bus stop on the corner,
pulling
asking
people in.
"Are you no? Hey, you got a job?
Meet them where they at, huh?
No,
Wow.
they hired
Right.
my brother-in-law right
the
there
bus.
on the bus stop." And he didn't go in and do any paperwork. They took him straight in the plant.
Started picking up the frames.
He didn't even change his clothes.
They
He just
took
had to
him
go.
in the plant, put him on a job.
Wow.
And, you know, 'cause he didn't do any paperwork till it was time to get paid. That's how jobs were here. There was one
those
time,
are good paying jobs.
Yeah, well, me and my 4 or 5
Stable.
kids, I worked at Grady Foundry, one shift. I worked at Rex Nord, and I worked at L. Smith, all at the same time. My wife met me at the gate to bring me something to eat, and I went from one job to another. I did that for 2.5 years.
Wow.
And then I dropped one of them and went back to school and went to UWM.
You know, and see, this is what we're all talking about, because it's like, I love what you said. And even when into what Teron was saying before, sometimes we do things and it's not like, oh, I'm going to do this for the community. It starts off like I'm doing it here, but if I'm doing it for mine, then it just spreads out to work for others. And so, T, I want to ask you, when you start talking about fathers making progress, what are some of the things that you do for the cities? Now that we don't have these abundance of jobs, now that we see some of the aftermath of not having it, how did you say, let me stand in the gap for these brothers?
Well, it was just like you said, you know, a lot of times it was what worked for me, like back to that cruel vision of just being somebody for somebody and want to do something different for somebody else. You know, I was able to, you know, through the blessing of, you know, spaces, you know, that were created, you know, and yeah, shout out to Mr. Holmes and the work that we even do back then. I know one of the things, you know, back with the Father's Family Resource Center, you know, you know, there was the SDC at the time that Mr. Holmes and you know, Mr. Burst and some of the guys ran there that I would come to. You know, it's just like a blessing to even just keep that alive through Fathers Making Progress, you know, and so becoming a custodian of, you know, these spaces that help other folks, you know, just through that cool vision of just want to do something different and want to be something different and want to walk in the leaderhood. They want to walk in the leadership, and even down to, you know, the Fathers Making Progress Awards and wanting just to control the narrative around Black men and around men.
And I'm glad you said it, because this is the transition I was looking for. This is how it works.
Okay.
Because we talk about Brother Holmes right now, and I know we got awards. And what I love about your awards is like sometimes you say, "Oh, we got a Father of the Year," and one person gets it, or 5 people get the same award. But you said, "No, I'm gonna make this specific because it's there." And one of my favorite awards, Andre Lee Ellis will always say, he said, "I might not be your birth dad, but I'm your earth dad." And when I think about one of the titles that I hear is like the community father. And we blessed to have the community father of the year.
Yeah.
It's the person who you say, you might not be my biological child, but I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna give you the tough love. But because I give you that tough love, now I can give you that other love where you can't be vulnerable. And I tell you, when I saw Kwabena, Anton Nixon for the first time, him and Buhib Dyer, they did this thing called Truth Is. And they would have a way to talk with young people who they had never met, but make them feel so comfortable so quickly that they could share these vulnerable secrets and begin their path to healing. So, Kwa, I want you to just kind of talk about why it's so important for you to say, man, we always talk about the village, but for you to say, I'm gonna put this into action. These are my children, and I know you don't do it for awards, but for it to be recognized like that, you do this not for 1 year, not for 2 years, but for decades, like, and not just here in Milwaukee. You get a chance to do this all over the nation. Why is it so important for you to love on these babies like they were your biological ones?
You give what you didn't get. Part of the reasons, and if I could be transparent, I told Teron no at first. Am I right?
Yep.
So what did
no,
you
I said no. I said nah. I'm not. I lost my father when I was a boy, and I do not like Father's Day. I'm really working on that. You know, it's a hard piece to swallow, and then biologically, with no children, so it was hard to accept it. And then the guilt complex of like I should have did more or whatever. But I believe after talking with Teron, after talking to my Muhib and you, I think Muhib. Being Muhib, sent me a 5-page text message about you better. It's all right. And my aunt and my sister, my other cousin. But you give what you didn't get. And I think a lot of me and my crew that we grew up with, I never forget the day we was outside just nonsensing around. And, you become aware I was 18 us in a circle, only 3 of us had dads at home.
Mhm.
And it just hit me. And my uncle became my surrogate dad. All the men I've known in my life just was like, this is what I'm doing. Donnell Curtis, shout out to Donnell Curtis. Donnell Curtis, this is the height of the gangbang in Chicago. This is the height of it. And Donnell, we didn't have football pads. Donnell went out and found football pads. He got a baseball tournament, basketball tournament. He had a little party for us afterwards. He got his T-shirts. He had concerts. So everything you see me do is from Donnell Curtis. So I think it's important that, and it's hard to take the award because I think this, if I can be transparent again, this is what I don't see anything you're not supposed to do. If you are a man in the community, there's no way you're not a man with other kids in the community. You know what I mean? I'm late because I just left a young man who I did a speaking engagement. He broke down. I was trying. More time. I was with him for 30 minutes, and he told me everything. Right, but the hit me in the heart. He was like, I have no dad to talk to. So I was like, I'm him today. He said his dad's name. He went through it. Right. It's almost appropriate. But I think that's if it's anything, I know that's the important part of. There's no way you could be a man in the community because the streets, everybody is a father in the community. They recruit me. I'm going to be your big brother. I'm going to show you how. So if we're trying to beat that, then we have to be that very thing. Okay. Because on the block, you get a mentor. You get it. You're going to be a thief. You're going to be a thief. You're going to be a hustler. Come on, right? You're going to get it. Right? So why not say Mr. Holmes takes us, as he said, this resources. Hey, this is your corner. This is the spot where we all come. I learned from G. Lack about organizing, about drug treatment, everything that we need. We just have to give back because they looking for us, so we here for it. So I humbly accept the award, man. I humbly accept.
Listen, and I want to say this because I respect you for what you do. And when people say I don't want the award, that's the one you want to get award too. Because you're not looking for it. But we talk about those specialized awards. I think one of the ones that touches my heart is Comeback Father of the Year. And the reason why that is because sometimes, like you say, maybe I didn't do what I was supposed to do in the beginning because I was still trying to figure some stuff out, but I didn't stop. So for all of those fathers that's listening now, I say, man, it's Father's Day and my children ain't going to do nothing. Sometimes you see fathers be better grandfathers than fathers because they get a second chance, but sometimes you get a chance to even come back with your own. And so we also got the Comeback Father. Talk about why it was important for you to create that award and why Ken was a perfect recipient for you.
Okay, well, all of the awards have a special place for these reasons that you're saying, because these are just different aspects, and Kwa even spoke on it. It's just like, that's something we should do, but if it was going the way it was supposed to, it'll look a lot different out here, So we need to celebrate that, So Comeback Father, Girl Dad, but for the Comeback Fathers specifically, like you said, just it's like. It's just like the old Bible story of Job, It's just like it's easy to do the right thing when everything is peachy king, when everything is good. It's easy to do the right thing, But what about when you get a little dirt on you? What about when you get a little bit of the world on you? What about when you gotta have a little bit of resilience to pick yourself back up? And like you said, I mean, somebody right now, hopefully listening, that's saying like, man, maybe it's too late. It ain't too late, So it's just like, to have a brother right here who just truly embodies that. He even just said it like earlier in this program, like he sat in groups that he said, dang, the world needs more of this. I'm gonna go out and create it.
That's right.
We got to celebrate that, man. We got to celebrate that.
Just created with the community. He came back home and did it with his. Coach Holmes, I want to ask you this question because we talk about these things. I want to ask you specifically with everything that you experienced so much, talking about having to go to Canada just to play. What is the secret to longevity? Because I know a lot of people burn out. Like they say, I want to do this and I can't. Then you got people who trying to take money from you, who don't want to give you money when you're doing the right thing. What's the secret to the longevity? Because when I look at you, that's I respect because I know some of the trials and darts that's been set at you, but I still see you always fighting.
And they're still throwing. But the point, the longevity is about 52 years. I coached high school sports and college sports, and 80% of the kids, and I kept track of the kids that we worked with, came from single parent homes. And so on my birthday, Christmas, whatever, my wife and I get over 100 birthday cards, what have from kids all over the United States.
It is, that's love. That is.
Because, and they all refer to me as Dad, Grandpa, Uncle Al. And my wife the same. My wife coached for 33 years.
Miss Holmes, that was my first gym teacher.
But
that's a beautiful couple.
The point is,
and love to Miss Holmes. I know you
with the school issues. We dealt with the kids' home life.
Yeah.
Because I've seen people come to schools and prey upon young girls and boys.
Yeah.
And I've had a number of coaches locked up because that's what they were doing.
And kudos, because so many people do a blind eye to that because the people you think are helping, and they really the biggest predators.
But it's about the kids, and as I said, I started off in anger.
Yeah.
And I say that seriously because my parents died when I was 4 and 5 years old. And I was angry with God.
Yeah.
And I told them that.
Yeah.
I went to church and man said, let's get on our knees and pray. I prayed that everybody hurt like me. And because I was bigger and stronger than most, I went out and made sure somebody else hurt. I fought. I just started fights just for the sake of trying to get that pressure off.
Get that pain out.
And as I worked with kids, I did the same thing. I talked to them, pull them away from the sport and what have you, and start talking about what is it that you want to be in life? And what do you have to do to make that happen? I've got 2 kids who were in the Olympics that I coached. I've had, I got right now, school psychologists, 2 principals, several teachers, 2 doctors in Milwaukee that I coached when they were in school. And they call me Dad. It's a matter of, I stepped into a role that I couldn't back away from. And it's about every time, I get out here and I see one of these kids, he acting crazy and what have you, I snatch him to the side like Kwabena. Muhib's dad and I work together at A.O. Smith. But it's about
Uncle Khaled.
We try to give them something to where everybody's got my phone number, my cell phone. And, it ain't my office number, it's my cell phone.
to get to me.
And I get calls at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Listen,
Mr. Holmes, can I talk to you?
I got to pause you on that, but I got to give love to Larry, West, and Billy Prince because they did the same for me coming up. Hey, listen, we only got a little bit to go on the next side, but I want you to listen because when we come back, we're going to get gems from all of these fathers of the year. On the other side, you're listening to Nyumba Upendo on WNOV, 860 AM, 106.5 FM.
I can see
So, but I remember being angry with my dad because he left the home, right? When I was 9 years old, he left, and I always wanted him to come back. And so when I started to have children of my own, I said, I'm gonna stay in the house, right? And I stayed in the house no matter what. But I also realized that I was in the house, but I wasn't present. And I had to shatter that illusion that I was a great father, right? I had to shatter that illusion because I always thought I'm a great father because I'm in the house. I'm in the house. And then shattering that illusion in order for me to heal, to be like, you wasn't a great father. You know, the things that you showed them, the things that you did in the house wasn't conducive to being a great father. And as I shattered that illusion, I started to look at what does it take to be a great father, right? What could I have, what I should have gave or could give now, not only to my children, but to my grandkids. And so it fits, right? So so I am the comeback father of the year, right?
Yes,
So I'm coming back from all the adversity and all the things that that kind of shook the household, or that shook the household. Ain't no kind of that shook the household, and being able to continue to help my children that's grown now, right? And they have kids, and I get to help them, and you know, so
you can't change yesterday, but you can do something for today and tomorrow.
Absolutely. So all the fathers in that's out there that think it's too late, it's never too late. It's never too late, you know, and perseverance, you know, uplift, continue to uplift your household, your family, your children, no matter what age they become. You know, you got to continue to spread that love and then show them something different.
Can I say? Yeah. I just want to, and I know we talking of all of us as fathers, but I want to really give my good brother Ken some flowers.
That's it.
Come on.
I mean, man, because we sat here when I interviewed him once, right? And we broke the tears, you know. But just knowing his story of what this brother has been through, and people, I don't think people really know the impact of what this man been through to be where he is right now. I use your story in a number of places because there's a lot of cats ready to give up, you know. So having awards like this, man, and that's why I shared it with as many people. We need to pack this place. Yeah, we do. Cats need to purchase tickets. Come, you know, I'm purchasing, trying to give to friends, because if you don't see what it is, you'll never be it. So I just wanted to give you some flowers, that man, because I think you got an amazing story.
I love that. I love that. And speaking of that, packing the place, what if people wanted to pack the place? We haven't talked about when is the event happening? How would they know how to get in touch, or how can they be in the house?
Well, I want to say this real quick first, though. You know, it's not very uncommon for when I call, like, even though like the way it goes, we can nominate, or people can nominate, but I'm not actually choosing who wins. You know, I'm not actually choosing who wins. We have an anonymous panel of 3 people. It was 3 people this year who, you know, chose our winners. And, but I had the privilege of being the guy who gets the chance to call people and let them know that they won. Awesome. It is not common. I mean, it is very common for brothers to be reluctant to accept these awards, like you said, Kweku, for the same reasons I feel like they deserve them. It's just like, you know, we have a society where it's just like the nonsense is loud, the BS is loud, the BS is just like, you know, it's just like I think the real stuff and the positivity got to be louder.
That's right,
and that's why this is so important, and that's why it's just so important. It's like we got to sing it to the mountaintops when brothers is doing the right things, because they show for the singing to the mountaintops when somebody, you know, got orange on or did, you know, committed some crime. Like, I mean, we gonna hear about, we've been hearing about Diddy for what, the past, you know, 3-4 months, like hard, man, like for real, like, so
2 years,
so the 13th.
Yep, that's it. Yep, you get back to that. Yeah, so Friday the 13th. Yeah, Friday the 13th. Friday, Fatherhood Friday, Friday, June 13th. It's gonna be a Thrive on King. You know, you can go to our webpage. Right in the community.
Yeah.
Like you said, I mean, it's just really important to have stuff, you know, right there on Dr. King Drive. You know, you can go to the website, and there are still tickets available. Folks can, you know, log on and get their tickets, or give us a call and get their tickets, or go on our social media and get their tickets. But I mean, and tickets are going fast too, you know. So so please.
So where's that? Fathersmakingprogress.org.
Fathersmakingprogress.org.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I want want you to hear some of the other awards. They got the Rookie of the Year. That's for the new dads. That's like just trying to kind of figure their way out and understand. Man, there's something to it. And not only that, you got the co-parent of the year, because sometimes the marriage doesn't work out, but that doesn't mean that you can't have a beautiful relationship for your children. So when I look at some of the awards, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's a beautiful spirit that encompasses everybody. We run in long time. So what I want to ask is each three of you, if you would, just drop a gem on the people. Give us a bar for the people to encourage them, to uplift them as they talk about and think about Men's Health Month this June, but not only for this month, but as we go through our life.
And I'm going to ask you to make it the elevator pitch, meaning you go on, you got to hurry up and get it out before the elevator closes, before somebody's got to get off. Let's go.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Well, for me, it's never too late. You know, I actually just did a workshop in DC, and a young lady came up afterwards and said, hey, you know, a lot of stuff you said, talk about co-parenting. Hey, man, I think I'm going to get my baby daddy a call.
That's it right there.
We got a 13-year-old. She's struggling. I forget my kid's father a call.
Let's go.
You're not being punishment. You're being prepared. And brilliance rhymes with resilience. Stay with those. Okay.
Brilliance rhymes with resilience. I love that.
Don't just be here, be present, mind, body, and spirit.
So when I hear all of these words and these concepts, it just fills me, because it always ends with the words of my maternal grandmother. She said, the best way to heal yourself is to help others. And when I see all of us who have our own pains, our own hurts, our own stories, but yet instead of they saying hurt people, these are hurt people who love on people.
That's
so
right. Yes,
I
sir.
just remind you all, you know, if it's some pain, flip it upside down and give somebody else some love. I'm gonna let you close, the lady of the show.
Well, I'm just all I'm gonna say, I'm looking at fathers making progress, and I'm just gonna give a shout out to the ladies to say, mothers, what are you doing to support that father in making progress? And I'm gonna leave it right there.
That's a bar. That's a bar.
You've been listening to Nyumba Upendo on WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. We'll see you next week.